History for Class 6th. Our Pasts. 1. Page number 46, chapter number 5. Titled Kingdoms, Kings, and an Early Republic. Election Day. Shankaran woke up to see his grandparents all ready to go and vote. They wanted to be the first to reach the polling booth. Why? Shankaran wanted to know. Were they so excited? Somewhat impatiently, his grandfather explained. We can choose our own rulers today. How some men became rulers. Choosing leaders or rulers by voting is something that has become common during the last 50 years or so. How did men become rulers in the past? Some of the Rajas we read about in chapter 4 were probably chosen by the Jana, the people. But around 3,000 years ago, we find some changes taking place in the ways in which Rajas were chosen. Some men now become recognized as Rajas by performing very big sacrifices. The Ashwamedha or horse sacrifice was one such ritual. A horse was let loose to wander freely, and it was guarded by the Raja's men. If the horse wandered into the kingdoms of other Rajas and they stopped it, they had to fight. If they allowed the horse to pass, it meant that they accepted that the Raja who wanted to perform the sacrifice was stronger than them. These Rajas were then invited to the sacrifice. Which was performed by specially trained priests who were rewarded with gifts. The Raja who organized the sacrifice was recognized as being very powerful. And all those who came brought gifts for him. The Raja was a central figure in these rituals. He often had a special seat, a throne, or a tiger skin. His charioteer, who was his companion in the battlefield and witnessed his exploits, chanted tales of his glory. Page number 47. His relatives, especially his wives and sons, had to perform a variety of minor rituals. The other Rajas were simply spectators who had to sit and watch the performance of the sacrifice. Priests performed the rituals including the sprinkling of sacred water on the king. The ordinary people, the Vish or Vaishya, also brought gifts. However, some people, such as those who were regarded as Shudras by the priests, were excluded from many rituals. Make a list of all those who would be present at the sacrifice. Which are the categories that are described in terms of their occupation? Varnas. We have many books that were composed in North India, especially in the areas drained by the Ganga and the Yamuna during this period. These books are often called later Vedic because they were composed after the Rig Veda, about which you learnt in chapter 4. These include the Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda. As well as other books. These were composed by priests. And described how rituals were to be performed. They also contained rules about society. There were several different groups in society at this time. Priests and warriors, farmers, herders, traders, craft persons, laborers, fishing folk, and forest people. Some priests and warriors were rich. As were some farmers and traders. Others, including many herders, craft persons, laborers, fishing folk, and hunters and gatherers were poor. The priests divided people into 4 groups called Varnas. According to them, each Varna had a different set of functions. The first Varna was that of the Brahmin. Brahmins were expected to study and teach the Vedas. Perform sacrifices, and receive gifts. In the second place were the rulers, also known as Kshatriyas. They were expected to fight battles and protect people. Third were the Vish or the Vaishyas. They were expected to be farmers, herders, and traders. Both the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas could perform sacrifices. Page number 48. Last were the Shudras, who had to serve the other three groups and could not perform any rituals. Often, women were also grouped with the Shudras. Both women and Shudras were not allowed to study the Vedas. The priests also said that these groups were decided on the basis of birth. For example, if one's father and mother were Brahmins, one would automatically become a Brahmin, and so on. Later, they classified some people as untouchable. These included some craftspersons, hunters and gatherers, as well as people who helped perform burials and cremations. The priests said that contact with these groups was polluting. Many people did not accept the system of Varna laid down by the Brahmins. Some kings thought they were superior to the priests. Others felt that birth could not be a basis for deciding which Varna people belonged to. Besides, some people felt that there should be no differences amongst people based on occupation. Others felt that everybody should be able to perform rituals. And others condemned the practice of untouchability. Also, there were many areas in the subcontinent, such as the Northeast, where social and economic differences were not very sharp and where the influence of the priests was limited. Why did people oppose the system of Varnas? Janpadas. The Rajas who performed these big sacrifices were now recognized as being Rajas of Janpadas rather than Janas. The word Janpada literally means the land where the Jana set its foot and settled down. Some important Janpadas are shown on map 4, page 49. Archaeologists have excavated a number of settlements in these Janpadas, such as Purana Qila in Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut, and Ataranji Kheda near Etah. The last two are in Uttar Pradesh. They found that people lived in huts and kept cattle as well as other animals. They also grew a variety of crops: rice, wheat, barley, pulses, sugarcane, sesame, and mustard. Is there a crop in this list that was not mentioned in chapter 3? A picture is shown in the left bottom of page number 48. It shows painted grey ware. Plates and bowls are the most common vessels made out of painted grey ware. These are extremely fine to touch with a nice, smooth surface. Perhaps these were used on special occasions for important people and to serve special food. Page number 49. They made earthen pots. Some of these were grey in color, others were red. One special type of pottery found at these sites is known as painted grey ware. As is obvious from the name, these grey pots had painted designs, usually simple lines and geometric patterns. Mahajanpadas. About 2,500 years ago, some Janpadas became more important than others and were known as Mahajanpadas. Some of these are shown on map 4. Most Mahajanpadas had a capital city. Many of these were fortified. This means that huge walls of wood, brick, or stone were built around them. On this page, map number 4 is shown with the title Important Janpadas, Mahajanpadas and Cities. Page number 50. Forts were probably built because people were afraid of attacks from other kings and needed protection. It is also likely that some rulers wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really large, tall, and impressive walls around their cities. Also, in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. Building such huge walls required a great deal of planning. Thousands, if not lakhs of bricks or stones had to be prepared. This in turn meant enormous labor, provided possibly by thousands of men, women, and children, and resources had to be found for all of this. On this page, a picture is shown. It shows the fortification wall at Kaushambi. This is a picture of remains of a wall made of brick. found near the present-day Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh. A part of it was probably built about 2,500 years ago. Page number 51. The new Rajas now began maintaining armies. Soldiers were paid regular salaries and maintained by the king throughout the year. Some payments were probably made using punch-marked coins. See the illustration on page number 84. You will read more about these coins in chapter number 8. List 2 ways in which the Rajas of the Mahajanpadas were different from those mentioned in the Rig Veda.